So I want to talk about Fortnite coming back to iOS.
Let's do it.
This is huge. So
I'd always wanted to have a studio, and I just was kind of like I couldn't because of Epic. And you know,
do you want to talk about the VR thing?
I can.
Okay, this is this might go nuts.
That's fine.
Okay,
this is a bummer. I hate talking about this too much. UEFN has been.
Wait, I think this one is wild. So you once told me you may be the reason for Fortnite VR, why it exists. Can we get the real story on the record today?
Sure. So basically, how it went was.
I'm Matthew Zanazzo, aka Immature Gamer, and this is the Creative Juice podcast. Today's guest didn't just ride the Fortnite creative wave; he helped create it. MustardPlays was one of the first to go all in back in 2018, grew one of the biggest creative YouTube channels in the world, and now runs JOGO, the UEFN studio behind viral maps, massive collabs, and industry-level polish. In this episode, we're unpacking how burnout on Battle Royale led to a creative breakthrough, the wild story of how Mustard may have sparked Fortnite Battle Royale itself, what it really takes to grow a studio, lead a team, and still build hits, why mobile Fortnite is about to change everything again, and the brutal truth about discovery, monetization, and what Epic still needs to fix. Whether you're a developer or just trying to stand out in a crowded space, this episode is full of perspective you won't hear anywhere else. Let's get into it.
This is Creative Juice.
All right, how's it going, Mustard? I can't believe this is happening. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's fun to talk with you. I love doing these kind of chats in the community. I feel like it's really good for the community.
Agree, man. I've been, I think this is my fourth episode now, and it's been really fun doing these. And I've actually, I forget it's work, so I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, once you get into it, you know, you're excited that you're on the right path.
So 100%. So we got a lot of cool questions to get. So let's just get started.
Let's go.
All right, brother. So I always start like this. So I want to roll it back where the whole grind began. You were one of the first creators to go all in on Fortnite creative back in 2018. What did you spot back then that maybe others creators missed? And when did it click that this was your lane?
I was streaming Battle Royale a lot, and I didn't used to do uploads. It was just straight streaming, and I streamed Battle Royale every day since that came out. Because my brothers were involved with it, I started streaming actually doing Nintendo games. I was actually getting pretty big in the Zelda sphere. I was streaming Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I was starting to build a pretty good audience there. But I just got tired of playing Breath of the Wild. It's I did all the speed runs, I did all the straight to Ganon runs, and so I knew so I switched over to the Battle Royale games, so PUBG, H1Z1, and I was just terrible. I couldn't even win in those games. And then Fortnite came out, and I knew my brothers were involved with it. I started playing Save the World, and it was cool. It was coolish. I had a hard time getting to Save the World, but then they released Battle Royale, and I was like, this is going to be huge. I knew it was going to be huge, so I just started streaming that. Unfortunately, I wasn't good at that game either. I just didn't have the skills. Even after playing it for 2 years, I was still. I had a couple hundred wins,
yeah,
which was good. But I was also I couldn't build, and the skill level for building was just skyrocketing at that point. And I was like, I can't keep up with this. And I also hadn't really figured out YouTube, even how to talk to the camera. And I was just kind of. I don't know. It was struggling to grow while I saw everyone else blowing up at the time. And I wasn't funny enough to do stuff like laser beam. My mindset wasn't in memes and all that stuff. And so it took me, I was just kind of I think I'm burning out on Battle Royale. I might quit. And then creative came out, and I just kind of started dipping my toes into it. And it was really cool. And I didn't really see other creators going into the space because Battle Royale was really blowing up at the time. And that was where the money was, that's where the audience was, and no one else, people were they'd play a death run, death runs were pretty big, or they'd play a map and get some pretty good views, but they weren't really into creative. They were just playing experience once in a while. And to me, I saw it as an opportunity. It's wow, there's a lot of audience that wants to play these maps. And I actually didn't get into building at first. I started doing how to beat a map kind of video. And back then, discovery was to go into creative mode, and there was 4 or 5 featured maps, and I'd wake up every morning looking at what's the new map, because it rotate out every like 5 days or whatever, like your map would stay in and then it'd rotate. It was like a queue. And so I'd be like, the new map's gonna be hopefully something that people like an escape room, like how to beat the escape room or how to do this jump on this death run. And so I was like, I'd wake up super early and start grinding those. And there was one other guy who would do stuff like that on YouTube. He was like my rival. I was like, we're trying to get out the videos first. And then eventually I got into building. Like I wanted to build my own map. And I saw that there was this community of builders that, were wanting to know how to build things and how to do things. And I wasn't a good builder. I didn't think so, at least. But I was starting to grow an audience. You were. I wasn't at the time.
At the beginning? Okay.
I didn't think so. At least I didn't think I was. Yeah. Like I have a good eye for things, but I didn't necessarily have a good like hand for things.
Yeah.
But my audience was starting to grow at that point. Like I was starting to like really find a groove in playing maps and I started building a little bit and seeing some success. And that's when I reached out to you. Well, that's when I reached out to like our crew for our 4-hour build challenge.
Yeah.
And
it's like Maka and
it was Maka and Stride and Storm. And you got involved.
Yep.
It was really when I started doing that because I was like, I can't build like these guys. So if they can come and build a map with me, then I can be like, hey, we built this something cool because I can't build something cool. But then they started teaching me. They just started giving me a few tips. They're like, well, just try this or try that. And it kind of opened my eyes. And I'm like, oh, wait, maybe I can do this. I just watched them build. And then I started building like them. And things started to I was like, oh, I can make what's in my head.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like unblocked something for me where it like opened the doors of like what creative really is and what it can be. And that's when I like started having a lot more fun in creative mode. And that's also when my channel started blowing up because I could make the things that I wanted. I could do the memes. I started really understanding YouTube and what people respond to and what they don't. Like I went from talking a little bit more, just normal to like my YouTube voice, which is a little bit more engaging and more like entertaining. Like a lot of these things kind of all were coming together at the same time. And I think there was a huge audience for it because I don't know, there was just a really great solid core creative audience that was awesome. Like I loved them and it was highly accessible, Creative 1.0, because it was just on everyone's console.
Totally.
And there was a great audience for it. So that's a long story.
No, great story. And dude, I'm just having flashbacks because I remember the 4-hour build challenge, and I remember you like hit me up. I think I was like having my first kid or my second kid, and I'm literally like in the hospital, and we're like, hey, you want to do a 4-hour build challenge tomorrow? And I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm busy. I gotta go. And then yeah, it was just like being around really high quality builders. And I noticed that in you and even myself, all of those, just like putting that time challenge on you really makes you better. Yeah. And I noticed building wise, from like, if you look at our first 4-hour build challenge, our last one, a huge difference in all of our skills. But you were, before we're just like, hey, Maka, or hey, how do we do this? And he'll show us a trick. And then like, hey, you go build this POI, and you're like, boom,
No problem. Yeah, I grew a lot. And it was, I love those challenges because it really did just force you to like make decisions quick and to like be okay with stuff. So I feel like so often in building, you're like, oh, it's not good enough or whatever, and you're like, you kind of spend a while on it and then you come back to it and whatever. But with the challenges, you're like, it's good enough, let's go. And before you know it, in 4 hours you have actually something really awesome. It just kind of taught me like sometimes you just need to take a break and do a game jam or do something quick, and like it really keeps your creative juices flowing. You get stuck. You
just get juice stuck. Plug, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I love those challenges.
So much fun, man. So much fun. So let's fast forward a couple of years, and your job looks totally different. I mean, you're still doing YouTube, but you grew one of the biggest creative focused YouTube channels, and now you help run JOGO. How has your mindset shifted from making videos to building full on game experiences inside of Fortnite?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a big shift. It's been hard for me, honestly. It's been a little sad some days. I miss making like the videos I used to make. A lot of people will say, well, why don't you still do that? Well, if you could look at my calendar today, you probably understand why. Because JOGO is, I mean, we've got 20 employees and I'm running it, right? It's me and Andre. Andre does a lot of like creative stuff. So Andre is typical gamer and he does a lot of creative stuff. You know, he'll come into meetings every day, look at the maps, give feedback. But like the operations, everything behind, from like paying people's salaries to hiring people to, you know, dealing with people's issues, which always comes up. You know, there's people that have problems, and sometimes you have to fire people. You know, making sure things are getting out on time, except, I mean, there's just like, there's a million things, partnerships, you know, people are always hitting us up to do things, and I have to be in these meetings. I have to make decisions. I have to do all these things. And to also do a YouTube channel on top of that, it's just kind of like, so it's a lot. And I also have 4 kids. So it's like, there's only so much of me I have to give out every day. And so sometimes my YouTube channel gets pushed down a little bit in terms of priority, and I miss that a little bit. But it is fun to do these maps as well, because it's not so different. It is, I always need some sort of creative outlet, and it's really fun to make apps that people want to play. And it's a bummer, just like YouTube, like if I made a video people didn't want to watch, I was bummed out. Like that day or two, whatever, before I got my next one out, I was always like, same thing with the map. If we make a map that is just kind of like meh, like I'm just like, you know, it's one of those things that is a struggle, but it's not that different. You just want to make stuff that people want to play, that they're going to have fun on, and then improving it. And so it's not really that different. Same thing with like, I mean, you just change the thumbnail, change the title. It's really just YouTube, but in gaming format. And so it's not that different in terms of like creativity. It is different for me because I'm not doing 100% of everything. I'm doing a lot more like business operations stuff, which is fine. I've always had a business mind for things. I've owned a couple businesses in the past, even before my YouTube channel. This isn't like new to me in terms of that grind. It is different though, because I wake up and do emails and do meetings, and I'm not necessarily in the tools creating as much as I used to be. And which is, you know, there's days that I'm like, man, I wish I could just go build. But so it is a little bit different that way. But I love the brainstorm part of it. Like, oh, let's think through this. And, or like, how do you make a story around, you know, a basic game mode, like a free for all or something. And I can create, like, I've created a whole anime off of it. And I'm like writing 6 seasons of anime or something. And so that's one thing like I kind of do on the side, even if that doesn't like take off. I've created this whole story in my head that's like really fun for me, and I hope I can share those things with people eventually. It's so it's very different. It's not, I mean, it's different, but it's all part of it. It's part of it, right? I kind of saw the writing on the wall too with YouTube. Like, this is a bummer. I hate talking about this too much. UEFN has been an amazing thing for the creators, but it kind of killed the creative community. I mean, I don't know if we need to get too deep into this.
We don't have to,
but it's like, first they said anyone under 18 can't monetize. Like that destroyed. Well, and also it's only available on PC. So that's like 80% of the creative community is cut out right there. And you have to be over 18. That's like another probably half of that community, and or more. And so and if you can't participate and monetize or whatever, or feel like you're being cut out, are you going to go watch YouTube videos about it? Probably not. And so like I could kind of see that. And even like the player base, like wanting to play, like go and look up maps like that you could play on YouTube, just wasn't as viral as it was before. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall a little bit of like, I mean, even videos that I would do before, build challenges or whatever that would get tons of views, were starting to get like not as much. Like there just wasn't as much interest. So it kind of was like a good transition point to move on a little bit. I'll be curious to see what happens when iPhone comes back or mobile comes back.
We're gonna get into that. We can
talk about it, but like that brings in a whole new audience, which, you know, could give opportunity for me to do more videos and kind of come back that way. But we'll see.
No, totally. And I get your point. I remember when UEFN came out, and I had I have a huge Fortnite creative audience as well, and it changed overnight. It really did. There was just like the views weren't there as much, and then it was also hard for me to kind of move from Fortnite 1.0 to UEFN and trying to navigate my previous audience to a new audience, and that's still even sometimes I struggle with. But it's I'm hoping mobile will help that out. And I'm also I'm hoping 1.0 still gets updates, which I know there's two sides of this because I know people are like, why scrap all that? Let's focus on UEFN. But there's just something with one creating, I think it's just accessible. I think if it wasn't for that, I know if I wouldn't be here probably. You know what I mean? I tried UE early on and it was a big apple. It was a large, like I didn't know if I could digest all of that. But Fortnite, for whatever reason, it just like all of a sudden you're starting, making little things here and there. You're not even thinking about it. And then all of a sudden you have a game and you're like, wait a sec, I just made a game. Wow. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's just like a slow evolution. Fortnite Creative kind of like forced you into this. And I'm sure some people have the opposite story on Unreal Engine as well. So it's possible. But yeah, it's just everyone had access. You could do it on your phone. You could create. I mean, I would remember doing updates and stuff on my phone sometimes when I was out in Fortnite Creative. So yeah, it'll be an interesting time for sure with this iOS. But we're going to talk about that here in a second. So I want to get on like JOGO's vision and some of your projects. Maybe like take a peek into your JOGO playbook a little bit. All right.
Okay.
So you co-founded JOGO, a typical gamer, and turned it into a seriously ambitious UEFN studio. What sparked the jump to friendship to building a real studio?
I mean, honestly, when UEFN came out, I was just looking at opportunities on how to like stream and do like a big like day of thing. And I never even talked to typical gamer once before that.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
we weren't friends. Like he followed me on Twitter and he played my Backrooms map. And I was like, this is cool. He's playing my Backrooms map. That's the most like, we'd never talked or anything. I think maybe I'd reached out to him once before to be like, hey, maybe you could collab on something or whatever. But I reached out to him and Cypher PK and Tommy from Top 5 Gaming to be like, hey guys, Creative 2.0 is coming out. I know all the stuff about creative. I can like talk about it on the stream, being like, oh, this is cool. This is new. This is what is interesting. And that actually is 1.0 stuff. And like, I could kind of guide them through that. And they were like, oh, this is cool. And Andre was like, yeah, let's do it. So was Cypher. So was Tommy. Cypher actually pulled out last minute and was like, I'm going to play with Courage and Ninja instead. And I was like, thanks. But it was actually a good thing because it was just me, Tommy, and Andre streaming. And Andre and I just really like clicked. It was like instant friends. You know, sometimes when you're talking to people, you just kind of like, there's those people that are just like, oh man, this is my person. And, PG was one of those people for me. We just clicked and we had a lot of fun streaming, really good interactions. And then he's like, hey, called me up and he's like, I've been thinking about doing, something in this, like, let's create a studio or something. And I was like, well, actually I got this whole plan. Because at the time, before UEFN, I couldn't be involved at all in earning money through creative maps because my brother was Donald Mustard. And like, if you have any family at Epic, which I actually had an uncle that worked there and another brother that worked at Epic, like I couldn't be there. But at that point, my uncle had left, my other brother had left, Donald was the only one remaining. And the terms of service had changed with UEFN to make it so the team leader had to just be the one that could like follow the terms of service. Like I could work with someone like Andre and be okay. And so, but I had maybe suspected that there would be some change. So I had been building this whole business plan and all of these things that I wanted to do for months before, because I'd always wanted to have a studio. And I just was kind of like, I couldn't because of Epic. And, I tried a few things before where Epic kind of shot it down.
Rip Axel Tilt. Oh, that was so
Rip
fun.
Axel Tilt. And so I was a little jaded at that point, but I was like, we're just going to move forward this. And it was serendipitous. Donald ended up leaving Epic anyways. And that just opened up a lot of possibilities. But at that point, we'd already been, making maps and doing stuff through typical gamer. But yeah, I mean, so I had this business plan. He was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And it just kind of made sense. It was kind of a risk to start working with someone I didn't know that well, but I knew that his audience would be a huge thing for us and my audience. And, I could tell he had passion. I mean, he was already jumping into tools and building his own map. And I was like, he did it all by himself. Fortnite was the first map that he did. And he made that. Like people are like, oh, he didn't make that. That was someone else came in. No, he was in the tools. He built that from the ground up. He learned how to import. He learned how to do materials. He did all the mechanics for a gun game himself.
That's awesome.
Like he used a lot of 1.0 stuff to do the mechanics, but he learned everything. And that to me was like, I think it was the right partner because he was like excited about it. He's like, I don't think I'll be doing a lot of building in the company, but I want to understand the tools so that I know like what I'm asking.
Speak on it. Yeah.
And so really that was his first one. He released it and then OnlyUp started blowing up. And so we're like, let's make an OnlyUp. And so it was me and him in there building it.
Oh, wow.
And it was just me and him building. It was just fun. You know, those late nights building together. You've done that before.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, there's just this kind of magic that happens when you're building and like having fun with people. And yeah, and there was a lot of like trying to figure out the right partners and the right people to bring in. And so we didn't want to announce anything until we were like ready. We still were like, you know, we just weren't ready to announce. And it wasn't until a year later that we announced the business, but we were doing stuff from day one together. So, but yeah, I don't know, like, I can't remember what like the original question was, but
that's basically just it. I mean, you know, how'd you start JOGO? So
yeah, I mean, we just started building together, and before you knew it, we had some hit maps and we were learning how to market it, and then we started hiring people, and by the time we announced, I don't remember how many people we had when we announced. I think it was like 10 or 11 people when we announced.
That's wild. I mean, you're probably right there, one of the biggest or the biggest Fortnite creative studio, and you I think are the biggest Fortnite creative UEFN studio right now with 20 people.
Maybe?
As far as I know. Yeah, I'm not like don't
close.
take that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure. And yeah, like I wanted to touch like with typical gamer. I think that you're as a YouTuber and you understand, like you were posting 6 days a week. You were on it every day, grinding. Like, and typical gamer, he's doing the same, and you know,
he does more.
Yeah, the next whatever
he does like 3 channels every day, kind of thing. Yeah,
the grind is insane. So like a YouTuber with that success, you just know they have that work ethic. Like they just you cannot not have it to be there. And so yeah, I think that's a really cool, like, you know, that was kind of almost a safe bet, but also you just never know. And trying to find the right people to start a business with that's always scary. But man, you guys are crushing it so far. You guys are doing so well. And so let's kind of talk about, you know, every studio takes like a few lumps sometimes while leveling up.
Absolutely.
JOGO has chased polished high concept maps since day one. What is the biggest lesson you have learned about standing out in a crazy fast ecosystem? Man,
I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, you guys you can just go market it and put out a video and you get tons of plays, which is kind of true.
Yeah.
I mean, we can always get a good out the gate, you know, play. We do have an advantage there in terms of, you know, versus, you know, just a normal creator that doesn't have that. So, and that was actually one of the reasons why we started, because we knew we had that advantage.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really always cut it. We've had all of our maps have done pretty well. I mean, in the millions each. Even like what I would consider our failures, you know, we'll have 3 million plays or something.
Yeah, which is insane. I mean, a creator's dream for that. But when I understand, like as you grow,
it doesn't pay the bills for 20 people.
Exactly. And goals change too.
Yeah. So it's great I mean, if I just by myself, like, I don't know how many plays I got on the backrooms after I could monetize, but I did find out, like, I didn't even know anything about my backrooms. Like, I didn't know how many plays I was getting or anything until later when I got my creator code. I found out like I had over 10 million plays on the backrooms. Ooh. And that was without any discovery.
Well, that's insane. So you would have, so you easily probably looking at 20, 30 million. Yeah. And you don't want to think about that.
And now
money.
I know what that means.
Yeah. You don't want to think about how much that was.
But like, it was one of those things that I was like, man, there's some power in these channels. Like my video series alone drove traffic for that, and people playing it, like Andre, or I think Cypher played it as well. Like there was a lot of like organic traffic that came from that map. And so, but that would have been like a huge thing for me individually. I mean, even just the few months because it did get pop a little bit after I got my creator code, and like just that like influx of revenue was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And that was just at the tail end of traffic for that. And now I see it more as a developer where I'm, you know, our monthly burn. I mean, I don't want to give numbers, but it's a big number to pay. We pay competitive wages, not wages in the creative community wages, like industry wages. And it's not cheap to bring in high-end engineers or artists or art directors and stuff. Like it takes a lot of capital So we can't really like too many failures. I don't know what's the right way to, it's not that we can't have failures. It's that we're looking for bangers. And it's not easy because there are lots of ones where we're like, we think this is going to be really good. It's really fun. It plays fun. Everyone that plays it is like really likes it. And then it just doesn't quite take off. Like we did, like our pit. We did a pit called Pit of Legends.
Yeah, it's not a pit though, like you think. By the way, everyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess totally, now that I'm looking at it, we should have just done a pit because you can. I mean, there's competitors out there now, but it's one of those things that was like, man, it had a really advanced skill tree. It had powers. It had all these things that were really unique and cool. Spent a lot of time on, and the audience just wasn't really ready for that. And honestly, the one big thing I think that wasn't successful with that was the input triggers. Like we couldn't really like people didn't know how to use their powers. Like you had to like click one button and another button to use your ultimate, and it was kind of janky on console, and we just don't have enough power over input triggers. Yeah, that Epic has given us, where it's just tough. It's tough to do something like that. And so there's other reasons. I just think it was just a little too complex of a map, because I feel like simplicity is actually really important, and eventually you can build in more complexity. That's what we did with Red vs. Blue. I mean, Red vs. Blue has been our biggest success. I just saw the Red vs. Blue community as like, it was just kind of stale. It was the same thing over and over, and there was not really innovation. So we've kind of switched our thinking of like, with Red vs. Blue, of like, well, we're going to do some crazy different game that no one's ever seen, to like, well, let's take something that people are familiar with, the Red vs. Blue genre, and then let's put in features that are really cool and unique. Like we were the first to put in ranks. Like no one had done ranks. We were the first to do ranks. We put in a fun way to do randomized powers or loot with a wheel. Yeah. And we were the first to put in anything like that. And you know, it's been copied 1,000 times since. Or like an advanced skill tree, or achievements, or
your achievement board was insane.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's still people still can't copy it because it's just too complex.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's all well done.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, we did that right around launch of the Red vs. Blue, right? And so there's just a ton of things that we're looking at now to try to push features more than like, oh, here's something that's new and crazy, because the Fortnite community struggles with anything new. It's this weird balance, because it's like you could take something that people know and make it better, or you could try something new, and sometimes you hit gold, like the roguelites, like whoever the company that did that first, like they've seen a lot of success. That's a risk, right? Like we didn't know if people would like roguelikes, and luckily there is an audience for that, for you know, at least a smaller audience for roguelikes. Or like Lumberjack Heroes was absolutely awesome. Yep. And he pulled that off so good, and he got a lot of success from that. He spent like, I don't remember what he said, almost a year building that.
Was he by him solo too?
It's a solo dev.
That game is huge. I mean, you can spend hundreds of hours in it.
It's so good. He did so good. And like, that's a risk though. Like we didn't know people would like that, but luckily it took off. And we will still take risks. There's things that we'll take risks on, especially it's tough if we're like, let's spend 6 months developing something. Like then it's like it has to be a banger for it to like pay off. But we can take risks on smaller ones. Like we just made a map called Tunnel Wars, which was something I didn't care if it failed, because we had a 0 build map, Red vs. Blue, and there was a tunnel that went between the two bases, and there was a bunch of other stuff on top. But we just found that everyone was in the tunnels. Okay, it was always like 90% of the players were just in this little tiny tunnels fighting, and I was like, what the heck? Like, go out, all this other stuff I built, but no one, they just wanted to be in the tunnels. So I was like, well, why don't we just make a tunnel map? Yeah. And so we made it. We put some really cool things. If you've ever played it, it's got some really unique like UIs and stuff going on with perk systems and stuff. But it was simple. Like I built the tunnels in like 20 minutes. And we went and tested it with our Discord server and was like, hey, you think this is fun? And we're like, it's like kind of okay. But if there was some more randomness to it, that's when we added some randomness to it. Kind of take stuff that happens in the pillars, put it in this like, and it's really fun. It gets really good stats. We're just figuring out how to like market it the right way, and we'll see. I mean, it's already paid off for itself because we only spent like a week on it. Yeah, and like that, those are the kind of things that are where it still looks polished and feels cool and feels like it's next level, but it's not as big a risk for us. Versus like if we spent 6 months on it, then I'd be like, okay, this is a failure. But now since we only spent a week or two on it, I'm like, okay, this is great. Who knows? It still could take off someday. Yeah. And if we just put a little bit more, just adjusting here and there, and before you know it, you can have a top 50 map and it's paying itself off. So yeah, I think I'm getting a little carried away here. I don't even know where we're going anymore, but yeah, that's kind of our philosophy.
No, that's great. That's great. And we have just a few more questions left. We're definitely cruising through here. So I wanna skip ahead and talk about some of the biggest news we've maybe ever had in Fortnite before it was actually taken away with a few years past. So I want to talk about Fortnite coming back to iOS.
Let's do it.
And I mean, this is huge. So how do you see the comeback on iOS shaking up discovery, bringing in new players, and what it kind of means for Fortnite creative?
Oh man. Well, when the lawsuit started, it was an instant hit to my audience. It was like, I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know how many people were playing Fortnite on their phones or on mobile devices before the lawsuit. I know it wasn't small. It was like the number one app for a year, like a year or something. It was huge. There was a lot. I mean, there was whole content creators that based their whole YouTube channel off of mobile play, and like it wasn't insignificant. I would say it's probably conservative to say at least half the audience was playing
I can
mobile.
Tell you from my 1.0 maps I was successful at that time. It was close to a 50% drop.
Yep. So 50% drop. And that's about what I saw on my channel too.
Yeah.
People were just like, shoot, I can't play anymore, so I'm not going to watch this. And so that was brutal. That was a brutal hit. And just imagine if we had 4 years of growth with mobile, like people were still downloading it. It probably would still be one of the top downloaded apps still. Actually, I mean, thinking about Fortnite's success, that they were still able to make a profit and maintain the audience that they did without mobile is nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah.
Like, it is really amazing what Epic has done being limited the way they have. But like, I try not to think about it too much because, I mean, you've seen Roblox growth. Like their growth is out of control. Like they have 10 million concurrents on the weekends, every weekend. And that to me is like, that's probably, I don't know if Fortnite would be there, but I don't think it'd be that far off. Like, I think there'd be a lot of people playing. I think creative would be, UEFN would be a much more diverse place. Because I think people that play Fortnite on their PC, or just the simple act of you have to go boot up your PC, open the game. Like, I'm stuck in this room where my PC is, and same thing with my console. I'm stuck where my console is. I have to go and boot it up on my TV and play. I take over the whole TV and no one else can watch it, and it's like I'm here playing. Just that simple like act there kind of makes you a little bit more inherently sweaty.
Yeah,
like you want to get in and be good at what you're doing. You want to kill, frag out. You want to get lots of eliminations. You want to play games that are a little more high action, less casual. And as a result, without having mobile, generally the like, not the whole player base, but a lot of the player base wants to do higher impact games. They want to play the Red vs. Blues and the Pits and the Battle Royales and those even like the zero builds or whatever. They want to play these games with like a shooter game. They don't necessarily want to go and like, I don't know, farm their farm.
Yeah.
But or play tower defense. Like that is something that is going to do really well on a mobile experience. And there's going to be a much more casual audience with mobile. And so I think if it actually comes back, if Apple doesn't try anything else funny, like I don't know if we'll see like all of a sudden the whole audience is back. I think Apple will try to bury it and discover it won't be at the top of their lists. And like I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Fortnite and Epic to advertise it and get people to come back and download it again. So there's going to be some struggles. I don't think it's going to be this instant like, oh my gosh, now there's 5 million people playing Fortnite. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
We hope we're wrong. Yeah.
But I think it'll be a slow growth thing, but it opens up a whole new world. I mean, how many people own consoles in the world? I think it's like 50 million or something. Maybe it's more than that. But how many people own phones in the world? It's like 8 billion.
Yeah.
Everyone in every country has a phone hooked up to the internet. And I would say at least, a large, like a good percentage of those people have phones good enough to run Fortnite on it.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to download it and play it. And they're not, the controls on the phone aren't as good as the controls on a console. And so they're going to want to play something that's probably a little less sweaty. Or, I mean, I think there will still be, there's the whole crowd that will definitely get sweaty, but they'll want to play casual things. They're going to want to play open world adventures, and they're going to want to play tower defenses, and they're going to want to play more tycoons, like, and like build like a tycoon that can last, 100 hours instead of 1 hour. And they're going to want, I mean, there's a lot of those casual type game modes that you see thriving on Roblox. I think are going to open up a lot of possibilities here for creators to make money, to make cool, different experiences. And we're already starting to think about it, and it's exciting.
Yeah. No, that's a great take for sure. And I mean, Roblox has had, like you can play those games kind of on really old phones if you want. I always, my joke's always on your grandma's first iPhone or whatever. Yeah. Kids get them handed down to them or whatever, and they can jump on and play. I think there is going to be something with UEFN where I'm hoping, I don't know the answer to this, to be honest, but like a lot of games, even on console, on PC, sometimes have struggles, or the download times are very long to get into them. I think there is a solve I think that we do need a solve for being able to make some of these games be a little more efficient, lower download times, to allow some of these mobile devices to get access.
Absolutely. And I was just having a conversation on Twitter yesterday about this. Epic has been working on something called Thin Client to help download speeds, but it's also mobile's the reason why we have 100,000 memory limits in creative.
Yeah.
And so when people complain about that, like, they won't be complaining about it when their mobile players are coming and playing their maps.
Yes.
So there is a trade-off. I still think just having mobile, though, because I can sit here, I can open up Fortnite, I click on it, it opens it up. I can wait here for a minute while it opens up and downloads the map. Like, I don't want it to be 10 minutes, but you're just not as in big a hurry as, like, once again, when you've sat down at your PC or your console, you want to be able to get in and quick. Like, you don't want to waste time. Like, you only have so much time on your PC, and you only have so much time on your console before your sister's saying, I gotta watch my show.
Yeah.
or whatever, or your mom's yelling at you, or your wife saying, hey, get up and do something. Yeah. But I can be like, I'm going to the bathroom, I can pull out my phone and play a game of Battle Royale on my phone or whatever. And it's like, I think the Thin Client's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a big deal, but just having it on your phone is
it Q4 or Q3?
I think they said, I don't know, it was supposed to come out last year.
Yeah, it's gonna, who knows anymore.
Yeah, I think they said Q3.
Okay,
I can't remember, but yeah, hopefully it's soon.
So no, that's awesome. No, I think it's gonna be a great thing for everyone, and yeah, it might I hope I'm wrong as well, but I think it will be a little slower to get back to where we were, but it is going to be about that marketing push. And yeah, if Apple tries to keep doing funny business, but no, super exciting. Best news I've heard. Like, I was jumping in my house. Like, it was insane. I looked like a little kid, probably. I'm glad no one saw me. It's huge.
I came up, my wife, I went up and was like, oh my gosh, like, it might be coming back to phones. She's like, wasn't it already on phones? I was like, what? She's like, I had to remind her. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, oh man, it's just.
I can hear Tim right now. It has been on phones, some phones, especially on Android or Samsung phones. You have it, and in Europe you could get it, but it's
hard. It's a very small niche audience. Very small,
and this iOS is. I mean, there's so many phones. I think I'm sure. I don't know the numbers. I'm sure Apple has more than Android. I would willing to guess.
I think they definitely dominate the U.S. markets. I think in the rest of the world, Google dominates. But
got it.
Google is a problem too.
That's true.
Still a problem. I mean, they were part of the lawsuit as well.
Yeah, they're all. Well, hopefully it comes back to all those platforms. Okay, so I want to transition a little bit into platform evolution and creator strategy. So Epic's gonna hand you the keys for a day. So what is the first feature, fix, or change you drop into UEFN to level things up for every creator out there?
Yikes. I don't know. That's really hard. I'd probably dial in discovery more somehow. I don't know what the solution is to discovery. It's such a hard one. Like, I know people, it's a very like emotionally charged subject. Yep. People are just like, my map's not showing, so it's broken.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily true. I think I would be pressing more for more community building tools. Yeah, which they're working on. Like, now you can have follow creator, which is great. I would probably want to have more ways to message players, to have notifications on where you do updates, like ways to really build a community within the Fortnite platform. To me, is probably like a number one priority, at least on that side, because then you don't have to rely on your Discord server to come through for you, or your YouTube video to have go viral. You could just build something cool in Fortnite and it goes viral in Fortnite. And it's hard to do that without being able to message your community at all. Like, and just rely on wherever Epic puts it in discovery. Even now it's like, okay, yeah, you got a bunch of followers, but like, how are they seeing it? It's like buried in discovery. Like it should be like YouTube, where it's like, here's my subscriptions. That's your first bar, is like new things from my subscriptions or whatever. Like, those are kind of things that I would probably focus on in terms of like major changes. I don't know what I would say like feature wise, like what I would love to somehow figure out how to do bigger projects.
Yeah.
Where memory wasn't as big an issue. The thin client, hope maybe, or
island linking or something.
Yeah, island linking would be huge. Yeah. Island in like cross island persistence would be massive.
That would be amazing. They gave that to a few people for I think it was the Jordan event. This was years ago. So that like
it's there. Yeah. I think that would be massive, because then you could just link islands, and when thin client comes out, then you can like quickly download new islands, where if you could build a city, you could build Whiterun from Skyrim, and then when you go out the city, you download the next portion of the map. Yeah. And if there's cross persistence, then you could do. I mean, that just opens up everything.
That'd be amazing. I remember you did a map early on when I think matchmaking portals came out, and you kind of did like a big connection with other creators.
I did the back room. So
before that though, I thought you did. Was it some?
I did the hub.
Yeah.
I built a huge hub where I like linked to other people's maps. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was fun.
No, that's good. I think that's a great answer though. I mean, for sure. I think being able to that's a big one. Being able to communicate with your players is huge. Like Birdo was on, and he talked about how he had like epic update something happened, and like his console, they had to like disconnect any console, his player base. Like they were having some big issues, and he has like no way to tell his players, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's just the scariest.
And then the players just are like, it's your fault. Like, no, it's not. It's Epic's fault. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, if there's any way, or even just be like, hey, a new update's coming, get excited. Like, get people like building up that kind of excitement. There's really no way to do that internally at all. I mean, you kind of maybe, like, we tried one thing. We did a live event last October where we had like a countdown in the thumbnails where we were like 5 days, 6 days, or whatever, 4, 3, 2, 1. Today's the live event within the thumbnail, and I hadn't ever seen anyone do that before.
No,
and it worked. It worked really well.
Okay,
but it was one of those things that, you know, it took a lot of effort, and it was like, with moderation, you never know if your thumbnail's gonna get approved, and it's like a risk every day to be like, okay, let's see if they'll approve the countdown, and like we're trying, like, so it was, but that's it. There's no other way other than like typical gamer talks about on his stream, or I say something on Twitter or whatever. But even then, it's like, how many of people in your actual player base are seeing that? It's like a fraction of players.
Very. So let's talk about community and moderation. So you recently hosted Epic's Let's Chat About Moderation stream. I kind of want to ask you, like, what's your honest read on how Epic is handling it right now, and how do you feel about the new Let's Talk series as a way to connect with creators?
Well, so first, I think the Let's Talk series is great. Like, I think it's a great start, right?
Yeah.
At least they're talking to us. Epic has had a history of like, well, give us this cool communications, and then they kind of go dark for 6 months or a year or even longer at some points. We're like, we're getting nothing here. We don't know what's going on, and there's all these issues, and people are, you know, going crazy on social networks or whatever, and like, so I think it's great. It's a great start. They're still pretty reserved in their answers, I think, which is fine. I tried to push back on them on a few things in our chat, and it is encouraging to hear when they're like, I mean, there's stuff that came out, like they said in that chat that like they had punished 3,000 creators for violating terms of service or something. That blew my mind. I was like, what? Like, I don't really know about that. And they're like, well, we leave them up in Discover because we didn't want to hurt the players. And that was, to me, like, there's a little bit, I feel like a little disconnect there of like not understanding the ecosystem from their point of view, like, or at least they don't understand it from our point of view of like, okay, well, if someone breaks the rules and they get a slap on the wrist of like no monetization for a week, but their map stays up and gets all the traffic, and then the next week when they get monetization back, they're just raking in banks, even though they broke the rules. And it's like, why not just remove them from Discover and give it to someone else who's made a similar map that players don't care. They're just like, wait, my favorite map's gone. Like, where'd it go? Oh, sad. Oh well, here's another one.
Yeah.
Right. It's like there's like literally thousands of maps that are similar to whatever your experience, got taken down. And I digress a little bit, but like I think moderation. We used to have so many issues with moderation where it was like, man, I felt like some of our maps were getting moderated every other day for random reasons that didn't make any sense and we didn't even know why. So moderation, like the process has gotten way better. So kudos to Epic. They're making lots of improvements and they're continuing to. And I liked, even in this series, I was talking to Sax after, and like he's taking some of these suggestions that I made and that the community's making seriously. Yeah. And that doesn't mean we're going to see changes tomorrow, but we might see them over a few weeks or a month or a year. Like every year, if this keeps getting better, it's going to become an awesome system. So I really do appreciate what Epic's doing. I also appreciate the challenge it is that they're facing to have to moderate 3,000 new islands a day or whatever it is, and to try to make as many people happy as possible. And everyone's got their own story and everyone's got their own biases and everyone's got, there's it's not easy and then they have to stay compliant to the laws and rating systems and right. There's a million things that Epic has to worry about. So I don't envy their position because it's easy for me to say, hey, just approve my map and put it in Discover, right? That's what I want. But that's also what 10,000 other people want. And there's only like 100 positions in Discovery. And even then there's only like 10 really good ones. Yeah. So it's like, it's a hard system. It's tough. And it's no different than YouTube. It's hard on YouTube. There's literally millions of creators and there's only 10 good spots on YouTube that are going to get a significant amount of views and another 100 that are like, okay. And so like your chances are small on YouTube. Your chances are small on creative. Your chances are small on Roblox. So you got to do everything you can to build your own systems and not have to rely on Epic. And that's a hard thing to do. But those that have done it, they're reaping it. Yep. The ones that have really done it right. Totally.
No, good answer. So this next question. So do you want to talk about the BR thing?
I can.
Okay. This is this might go nuts.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. This will be fun. All right. Let's shift gears, and this question is going to be a good one. So I kind of want to talk about like Fortnite Legacy and the story time. Basically, I think this one is wild. So you once told me you may be the reason for Fortnite BR and why it exists. Can we get the real story on the record today?
Sure. I mean, I have said this publicly before. So
okay.
But it is so basically how it went was, like I said at the beginning of the stream here, or at the beginning of the video here, was that I was playing PUBG, playing H1Z1, streaming it, and I could tell that this was the next big thing. People were really like, it's just a fun game mode. And I was at a family dinner with my whole family, and so it was at like Donald's house, and my other brother who worked at Epic, Jeremy, he was an executive there too. He like Donald was more on like the storyline, like creative side. Jeremy was more on the technical, like development kind of side of things. And I was just like, started talking to them. And this was in like May. I feel like it was May, maybe June when I was talking to them. And I was like, man, and I think Fortnite had already come out at that point. I think Fortnite Save the World had already come out.
Save the World, yeah.
So I was kind of playing and I was like, man, what if, I didn't even say that. I was just said, I was talking to them. I said, whichever AAA studio does a battle royale right first is going to make a lot of money. I'm like, this is the next big thing. It's huge. And I'm like, Epic, you guys should do this. And Donald said, he's like, I've been thinking about this for a long time. And I don't want to like claim all the credit. I'm sure there's lots of people at Epic that were thinking the same thing and seeing the same, reading the tea leaves the same way I was. Donald in that conversation was like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. Maybe we should put something together. And he looked to Jeremy's like, we should put together like a quick team to like just prototype it. He's like, okay. And within 3 weeks they had their first island, like they were playing it and prototyping it, and within 3 months they released Battle Royale. So I don't know if it's because of that conversation. I think that might have been a catalyst for it.
Yeah,
I think it would have happened regardless of if I had said anything or not, but I think it helped move things along.
Definitely, dude. That is insane, though. That's still I hear you. I hear you. There's lots that go in it, and maybe some people have similar ideas, but still, man, This is the most successful battle royale game in the world.
Unfortunately, I didn't say, hey, I get some royalties at the front.
Yeah. I'll take a percent.
I'll take a 0.1%. Come on.
No, dude, thank you for sharing that. That's such a cool story, man. So we're about to wrap this up, and we just got two questions left. So before we close, I want to give the audience something to track. So what are you or the JOGO squad cooking up right now that maybe just has you fired up? Anything we should be watching out for? Don't break NDAs or anything.
We have a lot on our plate right now, from just updating our current maps. We have we did just have some news come out that we acquired RHQ Creative, which they build a lot of like pro competitive type maps, and so we're excited about getting in that sphere a little bit more. Like they have some aim edit piece maps that we purchased, and there's some we just released a 1v1, and we really want to dial in on making the best competitive maps out there. Andre, he's training with Quinn, who owns RHQ, to make it to FNCS finals, and they want the maps to perform the way they want to perform, and so that's an exciting avenue for us to take. We also have some really exciting opportunities that I can't talk about. I'm already coming up with like a ton of ideas for Star Wars maps if they ever give us the opportunity to do that within creative. Like we'll 100% be making multiple Star Wars maps. Like that's very exciting. We're also working on some bigger projects that I can't talk about, but there's a lot going into it, and we're trying not to burn everybody out, and which is hard because there's just so much. We also have a really, really fun event that's going to happen at the end of May that I'm super excited about. I can't tell you what it is yet, but just keep an eye out for news and announcements for that. I think it'll be a landmark event for the creative community, and so I'm super excited about it.
Wow, same. No, wow, you guys are cooking.
Yeah,
congrats on everything. Yeah, there's only, I'm trying to think. Map acquisitions. There's been a few, maybe. Well, I guess the Pit's the most recent, but nothing.
But that wasn't even like a studio bought it. It was like some company.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how what the whole details on that.
From what I know, I think it's the first like true acquisition
inside of Fortnite,
within studios within Fortnite.
Yeah, I think so, man. Congrats! I can't wait to see what you guys are doing. That's super smart. I think there's a lot of untapped potential in the competitive scene, I think. And, we have great competitive maps, but they're kind of spread out between. So if someone dialed in on something like that, you guys will crush it. So congrats on all that. All right. Last thing, the lightning round. It's kind of a new thing. We just did it
let's do it.
Episode, but I'm going to ask the questions one at a time. You can give your answer and I'll ask the next questions. Here we go. 3 quick questions. The first one is the most slept on Fortnite device or feature.
Oh man, that's quick answer.
That's tough. Sorry. Yeah, this is why.
Honestly, probably scene graph. I think a lot of people are just waiting for that to come out, but I think that's going to be an entire new, it'll feel like a new engine.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, great answer. Okay, map you wish you had made. Yeah.
Honestly, Lumberjack Heroes, I feel like that would have been a really fun one to have built from scratch.
That's a good answer. Definitely. I wish the same. So, okay, last one. Creator you are most excited to see blow up.
I'd really like to see Tom Jank blow up more.
Yeah. All right.
And not just in, like, he does really great on Twitter. I'd love for him to have like a big success on like a map and like be able to really see his creativity like explode with the backing of, the revenue that comes in from, a stable map. I think that would be really fun to see. He was on one of the episodes. He's amazing. Tom Jank. I think he will. Like, I don't think it's a matter of how but when. Yeah.
Absolutely. So he has it. So no, that's a great answer. So hey, that's it. That's an episode. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was really fun.
Anytime, if you're listening, all of his social media, every links will be in the description. So please go check him out. And yeah, thanks, Mustard, man. I'll hopefully have you on again sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Later. That's a wrap on this episode of the Creative Juice Podcast. Huge shout out to MustardPlays for keeping it honest and sharing everything from the inside of YouTube, JOGO, and Fortnite's creator scene. You can find all of Mustard's links in the description. Please go check them out and show them some love. They're building some awesome things in UEFN. If something stood out or made you think differently, tag me at MatureGamerXx on X. I'll read and reply to every message. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like, follow, and subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, leave a quick rating. It helps out more than you know. More creators, more real talk, and a whole lot more creative juice coming soon. Don't hate, create.